Hello, Ronnie Thomason again. I just want to share another story with you that I saw God do on a short-term missions trip. And by the way, I encourage everybody. Everybody ought to at least go on one short-term mission to a foreign country because it really does wonders for your perspective and for your heart, for people in the world. And it really causes you to appreciate home too, because there's no place like the USA. I don't care how bad it gets in the USA. There's no place in the world like it. And anytime you go out to Haiti or Mexico or Central America, Africa, Asia, anywhere, and come home, you're always appreciative of what God has given us here in our own country. I was in Honduras one time, and we were there. I was there with a group, a team of ministers, a prophetic team with Dr. James Maloney and some of his team members. And I was just there to kind of introduce them to the missionaries there and to help facilitate and organize their disbursement among the different villages around Comayagua, that was our base city. And so I was not personally thinking about, me preaching. I was trying to help these other team members to get places to preach. And they were doing a bang-up job. I mean, it was wonderful. And one night after a church service, we were at the Pizza Hut in Comayagua, and we were just eating and talking about what God was doing. And a pastor that I had preached for several years earlier comes in, and he sees me, and he comes to our table and begs me to come to his church. And I told him, I said, we're booked. Our schedule. I don't think I can. I don't think I can, get any of our team members to come. He said, I don't want the team members. I want you. And so there was a guy with us named Ford Harris from Nebraska that could speak some Spanish. And so I asked Ford if he would go with me and interpret for me. And so he agreed to it. It was in a different town. But that pastor says, we'll come and get you. We'll take you to our town, to our church. And then after the service is over, we'll bring you back here to your hotel, which was quite a commitment for them because they were going to have to use a taxi. And so they hired a taxi and came and got us, took us to a town about an hour away called La Paz. And we went to their church and had a wonderful service. God really moved. We operated in word of knowledge, and God healed people, called them right out of their seat, read their mail, and God healed them. He healed a marriage. He healed the pastor's back. I didn't know he had back problems, but God called him out, and God healed him right there. And we just had a great service. But the greatest miracle that took place was after the service was over and most of the people had left. In fact, they'd already turned out the lights except for one light near the entrance of the church. And I'm standing there without an interpreter. Most of the people have gone home. Brother Ford, he's over there talking in Spanish to people, just being friendly. And I'm standing there all by myself in the dark. And a woman comes up to me dragging a little boy. He must have been 7 or 8 years old. He was fighting her the whole way. She's dragging him. He's fighting. And I noticed he was walking funny. He had some kind of a crippling disease. And she came up to me and said in Spanish, blah, 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 blah. And I couldn't understand what she was saying. And so the only thing I could do was, I knew she wanted me to pray for her little boy, and I could tell that he had some mental problems, some emotional problems, and as well as his physical crippling problem. And so I could tell that there was a major work that needed to be done, but I didn't know any of the details. I didn't even know what she was asking me. And so I just laid hands on the boy, and he pulled back, and so I just followed him and kept my hand on him, and I just prayed in tongues. That's all I knew to do, was pray in tongues. And so I prayed in tongues for a while, and the boy calmed down, and when I finished, I said, "Amen." And the little boy looked at me and said, "Thank you, sir." In English, "Thank you, sir." And I said, "Okay." Well, the mother freaked out. I mean, she started screaming. And I thought, "Oh no, I'm in trouble now. What did I do?" I mean, she's just screaming and speaking in Spanish so fast, there's no way I could even, I couldn't even pick up an adios or anything. I didn't understand anything she said. It's so fast and at the top of her lungs. And the pastor came over. Of course, everybody came over then, and what's going on? Well, what happened was the boy had never spoken one word in his whole life. He had not been able to go to school, so he didn't even know. There's no way he could know English, and he did not have control of himself. He was crippled, and I didn't know any of that. I didn't know he'd never spoken a word, not even in Spanish. And there he said to me, "Thank you, sir." And so no wonder his mother was blown away. But even more than that, when he walked out of there, he walked out straight as an arrow without any crippling. He was in his right mind. He was a totally different boy. And I watched him as his mother was hugging him, he's hugging her, and they're walking out of the church rejoicing and praising God. And I'm looking around, and it's dark. All the people have already left. Very few people witnessed that. And I thought, Lord, your timing is perfect. But one of the greatest miracles I have personally seen with my own eyes, and no one, hardly anybody was there to see it, but I saw it. And you talk about a faith builder, wow. Another time, I'll just tell you one more short story. I was in Honduras. I was in Mexico again, Saltillo, Mexico, and we were holding an outdoor meeting where we took a sheet and threw it over a concrete block wall, and we had a projector, and we had in Spanish a film about the Good Samaritan. And we showed this film. We had to wait till it got dark enough. We threw that sheet over the wall, and we showed this film. And we had one light bulb that was hanging over that wall. That was our only source of light. And so it's perfect for showing a film. But after the film was over, I went up on the platform that consisted of a 2x6 up against that concrete block wall. There was a 2x6 that was set on two cinder blocks, so it was just wide enough for me to put my feet on it and put my back against the wall. And under that light bulb, I gave an altar call, and about 60 people came, and they were coming out of the darkness. They came, and they rushed to the front, and I had interpreters, take them over to one side and lead them in sinner's prayer and give them instruction, whatever. And then I asked, if there's anybody that's sick, come and we'll lay hands on. Well, they came and they pressed upon me so much that they were even coming up on the 2x6 that I was standing on, and so I was just pushed against that wall, and I had people all around me. So, and I didn't have an interpreter. The interpreters were over there, praying the sinner's prayer with people. So I had no interpreter. So all I knew to do, again, was to just lay hands on them and pray in tongues. And I'm doing that. I'm just laying hands on this one and that one and praying in tongues. I have no idea what their need was, had no idea what happened. And there was a little boy, maybe 10 years old, right in front of me. And I laid my hands on him, prayed in tongues, and he started screaming. I mean, he started screaming like nobody's business. And I thought, whoa, what did I do? What did I do? Well, his mother came up, grabbed him, and said a few words to him, and she started screaming. And I said, I need an interpreter. Somebody come over here. And finally someone came to interpret. And what had happened was the boy was totally deaf, had never heard one sound in his whole life. And he's about 10 years old. But when hands were laid upon him and tongues prayers were prayed over him, both of his ears opened up and he began to hear sounds he had never heard before, and it scared him. And then when his mother came up and found out that he could hear her, she freaks out and she goes, and she's rejoicing, of course, but very loudly and emotionally. And there I was, plastered up against the wall. But it was one of the most glorious. It was in this little shanty town of little huts that were built out of wire and tar paper and cardboard, whatever scraps of materials people could piece together. And right in the middle of this extreme poverty, God met these people. Over 60 were born again. Many were healed. And I'll never forget that. It was very humble. It was very impoverished area, and we had very limited equipment, but we were there, and that's all God needed. And I just want to encourage you that just being there and showing love, and maybe you don't know the language. I've been most of the places I've been. Well, every place I've been, I really didn't know the language. I know some Spanish, but in Haiti they speak Creole. In Kenya they speak many dialects. In Nepal they speak Nepalese. In Burma they speak Burmese. I've been to England where they speak a form of English. They don't speak American English, but I can understand them. But most places I've been, I had that handicap, and God's given me some really good interpreters, but many times I've had very poor interpreters, and it's a struggle. And then, you're always in this realm where you really don't know what's going on. You really don't know who these people are. You don't know, you're just in the dark. But God can use that to speak to people and because they know that you don't know. They know that you don't know their life and their circumstances. So if you start talking to them and with an interpreter, and you start saying, your marriage is on the rocks, you and your wife are talking about getting a divorce, but if you'll surrender your life to the Lord tonight, God will heal you, and He'll heal your marriage, and He'll give you the ability to forgive each other and love one another. And their eyes get big, like, how did you know? Well, God is here. And so so don't think that, well, I'm not qualified to go. I don't know the language, and I don't know what to do. Man, if all you have is a piece of paper in front of you, you can win souls. And I just encourage you to do that. It's been one of the most rewarding parts of my life. And I've been on many, and I know that most people can't go often. They can't even go every year. But you ought to get your passport and pray and find somebody that's going somewhere and say, "Can I go with you?" A lot of people have gone with me that didn't know what they had to offer, but they wanted to go with me, and I said, well, you get your passport, get your ticket, and make sure you have whatever shots are required in that country, and we'll go, and I'll put you to work. If it's nothing but helping build a building, or pour some concrete, or paint a wall, but you'll wind up sharing the gospel with people. Amen. Well, I just want to stop there and bless you today, and thank you for listening to me. I know it takes time out of your day, but I hope it's worth it. God bless you, and have a great day. Bye-bye.